Over time, the AEC industry has gone through rapid changes and innovations to face ever-evolving new challenges. Digital transformation in the AEC industry necessitates the use of 3D visualization to handle more complex construction projects. The lack of digital solutions will lead to costly and time-consuming errors related to quantity takeoff, drawing interpretation, and design coordination. These lead to poor project accuracy, low productivity, and delays, which result in cost overruns and compromise in building quality. But all of this can easily be avoided. Introducing Glodon Cubicos 5D BIM Digital Cost Management Solution. It brings the power of advanced tools, 3D capabilities, cost management, and other digital solutions to developers, contractors, subcontractors, and consultants. Glodon Cubicos offers 4 types of BIM-based solution that will cover your construction project management lifecycle. With TAS, TRB, TBQ, and TME, you will be able to plan projects effortlessly and streamline processes during the tender, design, and construction stage. Experience smooth collaboration and work efficiency among all project stakeholders over the entire project lifecycle. Furthermore, with the Glodon Cubicos series, users can now strengthen the collaboration by sharing BIM model data online across all project stakeholders. Cubicos TAS 5D BIM Quantity Takeoff for architecture and structure. With TAS, users can experience fast and accurate quantification of 2D drawings and 3D models. Thanks to localized built-in measurement rules, deductions are processed automatically with visible and traceable calculation expressions in 3D, making examination tasks easier. Combining incredible 3D visualization and Cubicos Cloud Collaboration Platform, TAS helps you to achieve an impressive level of efficiency and gets your project off to a great start. Cubicos TRB 5D BIM Quantity Takeoff for rebar. With TRB's built-in calculation parameters, users can get the most accurate data for rebar quantities and various rebar schedules at all times. In addition, TRB's 3D visualization presents you with reliable rebar quantities, and that means you get the most precise and flexible quantity extraction, leaving nothing in the gray. Cubicos TME 5D BIM Quantity Takeoff for mechanical and electrical. Current industry practices pose a huge challenge for experts looking to generate accurate MEP quantity reports, which could cause negative impact on project efficiency. But this issue doesn't have to be the norm. With TME, users can digitally calculate MEP quantities with comprehensive features. Equipped with incredible visualization tools, precise identification methods, and built-in standard calculation rules, TME is more than able to elevate your work experience and efficiency. Cubicos TBQ 5D BIM Digital Cost Estimation and Management. Cost management can be a time-consuming affair, but this doesn't always have to be the case, as TBQ offers a lean data management to your cost data. With TBQ, you will be able to streamline workflows and experience better collaboration between stakeholders, all of which is made possible by consolidating vital data such as rates, tenders, and various cost analysis within a unified platform. All your valuable cost data can be centralized, reused, and analyzed in TBQ to provide better insights, thus helping you evaluate and generate new tenders with just one click. Experience the flexibility to generate BQ report easily in various formats and the capability to collaborate with other project stakeholders. By bringing together all stakeholders onto a single platform, Glodon Cubicos ensures smooth flow of information and streamlined work process between team members. Glodon Cubicos' advanced digital solutions have tremendously helped AEC firms to accelerate their efforts towards the digital transformation to achieve maximum efficiency and accuracy. Glodon Cubicos 5D BIM Digital Cost Management Solution has been a cornerstone of the construction industry and provides complete support to users throughout the project lifecycle. Organizations from around the world choose us as their partner to make their cost management and team collaborations smoother than ever. simply by using Glodon Cubicost 5D BIM Digital Cost Management Solution. Glodon Cubicost, the #1 trusted 5D BIM Digital Cost Estimation Solution in Asia. Connect with us today.
And I will be your MC of the day. It is my great honor to have you all together with us this afternoon. Before we kickstart today's webinar, let me just remind you to get the most out of this webinar. You may first engage with us by using the Q&A panel to send in your questions at any point of the webinar. Second, chat messages and private messages might not be responded on time, so please use the Q&A panel only. Third, you are muted during the webinar to ensure our speaker delivers his speech without any interruptions. For those who wish to have an in-depth discussion with us, please feel free to contact us as sca-marketing@global.glodon.com after this webinar, and we will surely respond to your email. Lastly, there will be a webinar survey sent to everyone at the end of this session. Kindly help us to complete the webinar survey and verify your email address, as the webinar certificate will send to you all in your email. Today, we are presenting Discover How BIM Design Model Evolve into BIM Cost Model Glodon SEA Certification webinar, which presented by our speaker, Technologist Amirul Izzat, the Country Product Manager of Glodon, Malaysia. Before that, let me formally introduce our speaker of the day with his background. As a Country Product Manager in Glodon, he is also a professional technologist which registered with the Malaysia Board of Technologists, MBOT. He holds an honorary degree in quantity surveying from UiTM and Master of Business Administration from INTI International University. Currently, he is also a PhD candidate from the University of Technology Malaysia, UTM, and his research interest is more focusing on big data and smart city. Overall, he has 12 years of working experience mainly in the oil and gas and construction industry. He used to be a contract administrator and project control engineer in various mega projects. On board with Glodon since January 2008 as a product expert. His contribution to the industry is focusing on the product R&D, market analysis, and project guidance. In the academic world, he was appointed as Industrial Advisor Panel in SEGI University and Academic Advisory Board at UCSI University. Recently, he was also appointed as Accreditations Panel on behalf of Malaysia Board of Technologists, MBOT, starting in 2022. His contribution is much more to the university program accreditations and syllabus development. Without further ado, let's welcome TS Amirul Izzat. So, Amirul, it's your turn now.
All right, thank you very much, Kelvin. Okay, just a quick check. You can hear my voice, right?
Yeah, we heard loud and clear.
All right, good. Okay, hello everyone. Very good afternoon to all audience. So I believe that today we have a lot of friends from various of countries. Okay, from my record here, we have from Malaysia. So to those Malaysian friends, Assalamualaikum, Selamat Hari Raya and Happy Wesak Day, to those who are celebrating. And also we also have from Indonesia, Selamat Siang, Ibu-ibu, Bapak-bapak. From Thailand, Sawadee-krap. From Philippines, Kamusta Daupok. From China, Tachahao. From Vietnam, Xin Chao. And we also have from India, Namaste. And also to the rest of the audience, okay? I really hope wherever you are, I wish you a very good health and in a good shape, okay? First of all, I would like to say thank you very much for your time in attending this webinar. To be honest, I am very excited to be here because of basically this is my first time in becoming the keynote speaker for this webinar that attended by several countries. Basically, I did conducted several webinar before, but normally my audience will be in a Malaysian context. But this is my first time. We have at the international level here. I'm very delighted Why? Because of first of all, I have the opportunity to expose my face, yeah, and the second one, I have the opportunity to share a bit of the knowledge, idea of thoughts, latest issues with all our audience here. Okay. Before that, I will try my best to make my presentation here interesting, okay, to make you stay awake, you don't feel boring. And most importantly is that to make you understand all the contents inside this session. Okay, I will try to use my best to use my plain English. Okay, so we have a several audience here, right? So from various of countries, sometimes we speak the same English, but we pronounce it differently. I hope that you can understand Malaysian English. For Singaporean, should be no problem because we are about to have the same slang or accent, right? Okay. Without further ado, I know you guys already feel excited. Okay, now let's proceed with our sessions today. So basically, the topic of our sessions today, we are going to talk about the discover on how BIM design model evolve into a BIM cost model. I think the topic is quite straightforward because of we already know what is BIM design model is all about, right? Now we want to have a BIM cost model, right? And we will see how it evolve, right? Okay, before that, this is a bit about me. I think Calvin already explained a bit in general about my profile, right? It's because of this is the first time that we met. So I think it should be better to explain a bit about myself. My name is Amirul Izzat, okay? And people call me Amirul. Okay, currently I am the country product manager at Global Malaysia, and I am a registered professional technologist with Malaysia Board of Technologies. That is why you can see the words TS here in front of my name. So basically TS is not my name. It's just the title for those who are registered with board. And to all my Malaysian friend, TS is not Tan Sri, yeah? It's not Tan Sri. It stands for technologies. Then in terms of my academic background, I have a bachelor in QS at University Technology of Mara, Malaysia. Then I enrolled MBA at INTI International University Malaysia, and currently I'm doing my doctorates in big data and also smart city in University of Technology Malaysia. So in overall, I have around 12 years of working experience, okay, which is I start my career as a quantity surveyor. And this is my fifth year. Yeah, this is my fifth year in Global Malaysia, which I joined Global Malaysia in 2018. And okay, in terms of my job scope, I much contribute on in terms of the product R&D, research and development about the verifications, requirement, and so on. And I also do some market analysis and also project guidance, which is to our existing clients who already use our solutions. So this is why I come in to do a project guidance. So that one is more contributions towards industry, but when it comes to academics world, I already become the industrial advisor panel at two local university, at Segi University and also UCSI University. And recently, I'm just being appointed as the accreditation panel for Board of Technologies Malaysia. Which is, we are talking about like in universities, they develop a new syllabus. That is where our accreditation panel like us come to give some accredited the program, right? This is a bit about me. Okay, so basically, I already explained a bit about myself. So this is your turn to tell me a bit about yourself. So I need you a favor, which is I will conduct one survey, simple survey. I just need to know your basically your background. Yeah. Whether you are contractor, you are consultant, developers, academician, you just need to click from the polls that will appear on your screen. Okay, is it okay for you to do so? So I think maybe I should give some times for you. Is it like around 30 seconds to do so? Yeah, can you just click, just directly click from your screen? Okay, I think we already have the results here. Okay, so let me share a result. So we can see that currently we have 41% from the consultant, we have 23% from the contractor, and oh, it's quite surprising. We have 8% from undergraduates and also postgraduates, which is I can say that we have majority of our audience here is from consultant, okay, which is good. And also we have undergraduates and also postgraduate. So for my presentation, I will try my best to use a language that can be understand all parties, whether you are from the industry or from the academician, yeah, from whether you are academicians. I will try to use the a language that can be understand at all parties. All right. So I just stop here the sharing. Thank you very much for your input. All right. So next. For the introductions, right, let me comment a bit on the background of our industry nowadays. I think we know that all of us from the construction industry, we know that we are the lowest digitalized sector. Yeah, especially from the if you look at the McKinsey report, it's very weird. Yeah, it's very unique because of, you know, construction is the biggest contributions to the world GDP, but we still considered as the lowest adoptions in digital world. It's quite weird, right? So over the past 2 decades, around like 20 years, right, we can see that productivity has only grown on average of 1% a year. That is very ironic, right? We can see the technology development is fast, but the growth is only about 1%. So it means that there's a huge gap between the technological advancement as well as our industry. The third one is the construction is the most collaborative, yet the most fragmented industry in the world. It means what? It means that most of us works in our own island. What I mentioned about islands, right? It's just like we work in the silos. So we just know what happened in our environment, in our island, which is we don't know what happened to others' island. Okay. So this is the challenges that construction industry is facing today. Okay, the first one is limited budget. Okay, which is I purposely put in the first place is a limited budget because we are talking about the 5D BIM environment. Okay, whether you are from private, okay, normally your budget will comes in terms of corporate investment, or if you from a government project, normally your budget is from ministry. It means from your citizen tax, right? So we always have budget. You know, if you have a client that don't care about budget, most likely you have a very wealthy clients, I would say. Okay, the second one in terms of the labor shortage. Yeah, just for your information, we in Malaysia here, no doubt that we really rely on the foreign labors, especially in 3D sectors. Okay, when I mention about 3D sectors, is I talk about the 3D. Dangerous, dirty, difficult. No, I'm not talking about the 3D model. Yeah, it's 3D sectors. Yeah? Dangerous, dirty, and also difficult. Like in Malaysia, we can say that we have workers from our neighbors country. We have from Indonesia, we have from Nepal, Bangladesh. Even us, Malaysian, also we work in foreign countries like Singapore. We also work in these 3D sectors. So especially for those who live in Johor Bahru, especially, you can see that Malaysian will go and return from Singapore on a daily basis. But recently you can see that we have a COVID spike, right? So this is where we can see all the countries' borders is closed down. So it's much difficult for the foreign workers to come into our country, okay? So what happened is that when we have the country, the borders is closed down, then we have a labor crisis. That means we don't have enough workforce to develop things. Then the next one is the tight schedule. Yeah, this is always happen. There is always a client that want us to work like there is no tomorrow. You need to work 24/7. If possible, they ask us to estimate. They give us estimate today, right? And they want it tomorrow. It's always a tight schedule. Believe me, I understand how you feel because I've been there for so many years, right? The next was in terms of the distributed parties. Yeah, what I mentioned just now in my previous slide, basically we work in silos. The team is scattered away and the communications will be less effective. So finally is the fierce competition. Yeah. So in other words, in nowadays, who is faster, who is cheaper and better, definitely you will win, right? You have these three factors, then definitely you will win. That is the, but recently I used to read one article. There is another fourth factor, which is luck. Luck is also another factor. You know, if you are faster, if you are cheaper, if you are better, and if you have luck, then definitely you will win. If not, basically you are done. No, you will be kicked out from the competition. That is how the competitions will look. The competition world looks like in today's environment. So, because of that, yeah, the next question comes in: what can we do as a quantity surveyor? You know, in a project context, QS we are the Superman, right? QS is the Superman. So we are the superheroes, and what superheroes will do to contribute, right? So first of all, in order for us to answer these questions, we need to understand what is our basic duty as a quantity surveyors. Okay. Right. First of all, let us refer to the RIBA plan of works. Okay. So what is our duty based on RIBA plan of works? I think Commonwealth countries will understand what is RIBA is all about. Yeah. Basically, it's a it's a standard development phase prepared by Royal Institute British Architect. Okay. Okay, we can see that maybe like countries like Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia might not very popular to refer to this because compared to Commonwealth country. Yeah, for Commonwealth countries like us, we always refer to this RIBA. So from the slide from here, right? So you can see that start from the strategic definitions. So we have preparations and brief. Then after that, we have a preliminary cost estimate, right? So for this stage, definitely you have sorry about that. So for the preparation and brief, you can see that the role of the QS is to advise in terms of the feasibility study, whether is it feasible or not. Okay, the next one in terms of the cost advice, yeah, preliminary cost advice. So from here, right, you can see there's lots of methods that come during this stage, whether like unit methods, like GFA and so on. Then after that, we also do the cost planning and budget establishment, and we also need to advise our client what is the procurement method suitable for that particular scenarios, right? We can say that like procurement methods, like you have a design and build, whether it's a lump sum contract and so on. Right, then when you come to the concept design, and after that is a developed design. This is where the design from the architect is much more details. So from this stage, okay, pre-tender cost estimate and also cost plan, we also advise in terms on this. Then we also advise in terms of the alternative materials and form of constructions, or in other words, we call it as the value engineering. So value engineering also will involve QS in terms of advising client what are the alternative design, what are the materials that we can do, we can select, right? And the next one, in terms of the tendering process, okay, we are the main persons going to in charge on the whole tendering process. Then we go for the technical design, all right? Then there will be a stage in between design and also construction. So in the between, right, this is where the tendering comes in the between, which is we do a preparing costing for tender, right? Then we do all the things related to tender documents. We prepare the BQ, we prepare the tender documents. Then after that, contractual documents, and also we'll be involved in terms of the tender evaluations report. This is where we advise our clients who is the suitable contractor and so on. Then we go for the construction. Okay, this is start from this stage we call it as a post contract, right? This is where the cost control comes in. So from the cost control, basically we involve in terms of the preparing monthly evaluations, cost, evaluations, report, interim payment management, and also we advise on the contractual claims, especially when that project have what we call it, EOT and so on. Then after that, we go for the handout and closeout. Okay, so inside here, basically we advise in terms of the variation. If there is a design changes, we need to advise variations order, whether it has a cost impact or not, whether it has a contract impact or not. Then after that, we do the settlement on the final payment and account. Then we also feedback for the future cost estimates, right? Okay, next we will see if just now we already look at the rules of the QS based on RIBA, okay, RIBA, but this time we will refer to a different standard. So what is our roles if we refer to the QS collaboration map, right? Basically, this is the from Singapore BIM Guide version 2.0. Right. So basically, if you look at this model, basically they are using the term conceptual design, schematic design, detail design, until to the facility management. So basically, it has a differences in terms of how RIBA, RIBA come up with the technical terms in terms of the development phase. But basically, it has the similar concept, right? So when we look at the roles of the quantity surveyor, you can see contractor / quantity surveyor. So it means that quantity surveyor is part from the contractor, maybe because of in Singapore, most likely most of the projects will be in design and build, right? So if we look at the QS collaboration map, we can see that the roles of the QS will provide feedback in terms of the initial building costs, schedule, constructability. You can see they have some sort of similar with RIBA also. Then we also provide the design review and continued feedback on cost, schedule, and constructability. And also, this one is the schematic design. Basically, they are doing the same thing. And on the detailed design, right, we create the construction model for the simulations. Okay, this one is because of QS is part of the contractor. So the contractor will execute this role. We just QS need to advise in terms of the cost, right? Then in terms of the construction, we manage construction with subcontractors and suppliers, inform changes to design, model, and finally we need to prepare as a build model. So basically this is the roles of the QS, okay, in a collaboration map from Singapore BIM Guide version 2.0. Okay, so basically you already see those standards, okay, we already see from RIBA and also from Singapore BIM Guide. So we can see that QS role is all about cost. Cost is QS is cost. So this model is from one of the famous researcher, which is from Montero Pocas Martin in his article in 2013. So we already understand when we were talking about cost, it consists of the two components, right? Whether you are call it a component. Sometimes academicians they're not called as a component, they call it as a domain. Sometimes they call it as a variable. So whatever term that you are using, right, to get a total cost of the project, you always require a quantity. You need to times or multiply with the rates. Then you will have a project cost, right? So if you don't have any these two, definitely you cannot get the cost. So in other words, quantity is extremely crucial and important, right? So this quantity takeoff activity, sometimes also you call it as a quantification, right? So normally it exists at two levels. So what is the levels? The first level is in terms of the we do quantity takeoff during design, or known as a pre-design stage. Right? And the second one is the post-design. Whether it is normally during the pre-design, normally we need to estimate a total cost of how much. Basically, we need to establish a budget, right? During the pre-design stage, right? We need to have a budget. However, for the post-design stage, is much more you need it during construction. Now you already have a budget during the pre-tender. Now for the post-design, you need it for the budget control, or we call it as a cost control, right? And this quantification you need to do for your, select for the subcontractor and so on. And this modeling, basically they are using a design and build, okay? Which is you can see that it's bidding, contractors directly get the project from the design. So basically this model is applicable for the design and build projects. Okay. Now, we already understand more or less the roles of the QS. Now, let us look how QS do their roles in a conventional manner, or we call it as a traditional manner, right? So the first one, Okay, the first one, if you are talking about the conventional or traditional, it means QS still rely heavily on the hard copy or a scan drawings, you know. So even if hard copy, if hard copy is even worse, because normally the size of the drawing is in various size. More popular is A3 size, but there's a certain company that use A2, sometimes they use A1 also. I used to have an experience to meet a contractor that they are still using A1 the drawing size. So can you imagine how big is the space of the QS required to work out with all this drawing? Sometimes when we do a taking off, we cannot refer only one page. We also need to refer multiple drawing at the same time, right? So can you imagine how tedious to handle a big size of drawing, especially you need to be careful because of the drawing might be torn out or something, right? So the second one, when you already refer to the hard copy drawing, then what QS will do is that QS will key in manually the informations, okay, from the drawing to the calculator to times the dimension. And sometimes you can see that QS use a scale ruler. Yeah, this is a scale ruler to measure the distance, especially when drawing miss the dimension information. So in Malaysia, right, just to share information, to share a story with you in Malaysia context, right? So in Malaysia, scale ruler is very QSing image. You know, this is the scale ruler for those who don't know what is scale ruler. What I mentioned is very QSing image. And you know, like doctors, you know, they use a stethoscope as their tools identity. Like lawyers, normally they will wear a robe, you know, like a black and white suit to show they are the lawyers, you know, something like that. So there's always a joke flying around, you know, how to tell people that you are QS without verbally tell them that you are QS is by showing them the scale ruler. So they will definitely know that you are QS, right? Okay, the next one, when you write the information, when you already got the information from the calculator and so on, so what happens is that you will transfer the informations to the traditional paper, okay? Then you draw all the description inside, then you draw the dimensions to get the quantity. So if you compare last 10 to 15 years, right, you can see that Excel is quite advanced, especially you are referring to the last 15 years. It means that at that particular time, if you use Excel to take off, means you already use technology. You're already in demanding position because you use technology. You know, QS who know how to use Excel will be considered as the technological advanced QS. But that one is the previous day, is the old days. Okay. However, nowadays, whether we like it or not, okay, especially when the emergence of the BIM, using Excel is still considered as manual way. So especially for the student, if they want to show their resume, right, I know how to use Excel in taking off and so on, definitely it's still considered as a manual way. Okay, that's the things that need to be accepted in nowadays. Right. Now let us see what is the problem that will be accounted if we are still using a traditional way in doing taking off, right? The first thing first, in terms of the 2D measurements, all right, because of all the informations we be in 2D. So what happened is that the 2D drawings also made based on the other 2D drawings, which is manually developed. It means you are referring to the 2D drawings, right? And that 2D drawing also manually developed by the designers. So what happened is that when you take off, it's performed manually based on the 2D drawings, which is also manually. So there is a multiple error tend to happen. It means we call it as a cascade error. It means the drawing that you are refer also tends to be error, and you do taking off also manually, which is tend to error. So it's already become a multiple error, right? Then the next one, in terms of the manual process. So when we are talking about the manual process, right, required human interpretation, which led to the error. So we are talking about human factors here, you know. When we are talking about the human factors, we are talking about the emotions. You know, all people have emotions. Sometimes your emotion is not consistent. Okay, your emotions in the morning is different. Then after the whole day, your energy has been drained out. Then after that, your emotions will be different, right? So we are talking about the human factors. The next one, in terms of the lack of communications, okay, lack of communications, which is communication will be less effective because of there will be a certain situation whereby the workers is using Excel in his personal PC. So what happened if he or she is resigned? Then definitely all the informations will be kept inside, right? Then number 4 is the limitations of the CAT. Okay. Okay, the next one is the limitations of the CAT, right? CAT have a certain limitation, which is the informations, all being stored by using a 2-axis, because of 2D drawings. So the Z-axis information sometimes is not available. And, the information in the CAT is limited because of, we can say that, because there is no container or attributes like a model, it means that you need to write all the informations on top of the pages, right? If you have information, then you need to utilize all the space of the drawing to highlight your information, which is they have a certain limitation. And finally, is the time consuming. Yeah, the time consuming is because of the process is being manually, So we can say that it is really efficient killer. Too much time spent on the task. We tend to feel boring, unmotivated. We feel tedious, and all this actually will affect back to the humans factor that I mentioned just now. It will affect your emotions. That's what will happen. Oh, sorry. I think I just suddenly wrongly. Okay. All right. Okay. Now next. Okay. Interestingly, this is another statistic that we need to think about. If you are doing a taking off manually, more or less around 40% of the variation is likely to occur, which is this I quote from one famous researcher from Forecast 2012. Okay, from his article, which is he mentions about his article title is about rethinking the cost estimating process through a 5D BIM. Okay, but I think this 40% is very subjective. Maybe a different project will have different numbers. It depends on your complexity. If you have a very high complexity of design, then your variations rate might be go up, and if you have a lesser complexities, your variations rate might be goes down. Okay. And recently, I also read one article from Autodesk also mentioning about $88 billion has been wasted due to the cost of the rework. Okay, cost of the unconnected data, fragmented issues, and whatnot. So, can you imagine how we can save just by avoiding a double work, right? So now let us see, what if the informations that we refer to, especially when we do a 2D measurement, is not in 3D? What will happen if the information is not in the 3D? The first one in terms of the quantity at the intersections might be overlooked. Yeah, especially example quantity of links. For example, I always use example like a rebar. You want to get a link, right? So in the traditional way, what you do is that you will take the length of the beam, and definitely you will be divide into center to center, and you will plus 1. So this is how you can get the quantity of the link, right? So, but what happened is that what happened in the intersections here? Normally in the intersections here, you don't have a link. So what happened is that when you apply the concept of get the length divided according to center, then what happens is that your quantity will be wrong. Yeah, because of we have this kind of situation, and this kind of things, right, only can be available if you have a 3D model. Yeah. The next one, in terms of the difficulties to visualize, means that you need to refer multiple drawings at the same time. It's very tedious, especially if you use hard copy drawings, which is very difficult. And the third one, in terms of the difficulty to transfer the information, that is where we call it as data incompatibility. Yeah, so the data is not compatible, especially when you want to convey the information to other parties, because other parties might use the 3D already, but you're still using a 2D. So it's not compatible. What happened is that the information cannot be transferred accordingly. All right. All right. From the problem that we already gone through just now about doing it manually, right? This is where the game changer come into the picture. right? So due to the emergence of the new technology of BIM, started from the architects. Normally, architects started first, then followed by the engineers, and the awareness has slowly increased from time to time, right? This is where you can see the QS profession also joining the bandwagon effect. We call it as a bandwagon effect. Now, QS started to embrace BIM to facilitate their business process. Okay. So a bit of the history of the dimension that I mentioned just now. Basically, people start working with the 2D construction drawing for centuries. You know, it start from the what we call it. It start from our baby boomer generations. It's already start a long time ago. Then they slowly to integrate computer aided designs, especially start from the 90s. You know, in the 90s era, they started to use computer and so on. And start from the 2000 onwards, we can see the 3D model is getting focused by the trend. You know, getting focused, being debated by the researcher. Then they slowly start with the 4D, especially planning and scheduling. And now we can see that 5D has become the hit topic being discussed, especially among industry and also from the researcher. So to be honest, right, I don't know how many Ds outside there at the moment. Yeah, as I aware, there is a 10 Ds, if I'm not mistaken, something to do with construction industrialization. Then I heard that there will be a new Ds coming up, something to do with robotic and also automation. So now we can see that people already started to move to fifth dimension, or known as the 5D BIM. So it is when we're talking about the 5D BIM, because we are focusing on the cost. So it is close related to QS because of cost estimations belongs to the QS scope. This is where the process should be connected and also automated. Okay. So QS, they should started to embrace BIM-based quantity takeoff, okay, sometimes known as a digital takeoff. It doesn't matter what term you are using, whether you are using BIM-based quantity takeoff or you are using digital takeoff, as long as it share the same ideas, okay, which is using technology, right? We inject the technology elements to facilitate our business process. So how it works? Okay, basically the informations of the design cost information should be conveyed or transferred from the upstream without us need to start from the scratch. Yeah, so this is where we can avoid the double work to occur. Okay. However, it's not just a matter of how we get the information from the design or from the modeler, but another aspect that very important is that how we can transfer or convey our informations to other parties as well, whether it is downstream or upstream. Okay, this is another fact that I would like to share. Okay, according to the Kahzon et al. In his article in 2008, okay, so he mentions about the accuracy of BIM may be achieved around 3% of accuracy if the full BIM benefit can be fully utilized. So 3% is quite accurate, yeah. 3% is very small numbers. Okay, this is the similar. Okay, okay, what I mentioned just now. Similar to conventional method, which is you using a traditional method or conventional method will give you some problems that I mentioned just now. BIM-based takeoff also cannot run away from the issues that also generated by the technology. So it's normal. Yeah, it's normal. All technology that available today definitely have their own challenges. They have a good side, they have a dark side. You know, so it depends on us how we solve it, or at least we minimize it. Okay. So in terms of the technical issues in general, okay, the first one in terms of the overlapping of the model. Okay, we are talking about, because of you are going to use a 3D model. So there is an overlapping of the model happens. It will automatically increase the quantities. Okay, when you have overlapping of the model, so the overlap part will increase the quantity and make your quantity wrong. Okay, the second one in terms of the wrong categorization. Okay, so the quantity reports generated by the design tool will lead to a wrong categorizations and also create a confusion. Okay, the next one in terms of the geometrical cutoff. Okay, so simplification in the model and lack of cost aspects such as intersection between entities, example beam and slab and void and etc. Okay, geometrical cutoff, it means that when there's a lot of intersections in the BIM model, so what happens is generate a lot of like a complicated shape because of the geometrical cutoff. Number 4, in terms of the dump tagging and legends, okay, just like in Revit, modelers sometimes focus on the visual rather than information. Okay, example, if the wall type is modified in the properties, that tag will not be updated because they're just focusing on the visualization. They want to look pretty. Okay, this is how the modeler works with the model. Okay, number 5 is outdated and lack of model information. Yeah, lack of control measure of the model and informations, like poor execution procedure at the organization's level. Then lack of competency of the QS, inability to assess model due to the lack of suitable software tools or not understanding the BIM procedure. So it means that the QS is not being exposed with the software, how to use the software design tools to get the information and so on. And finally is the design change. Okay, lack of involvement during design change that leads to increased inaccurate update on the cost. Okay, it's not being involved is one thing. Okay, basically if you have a design change, sometimes you are not being informed that there is a design change, and you also been late informed. So there's two different situations there, right? Okay, let me drink a water a bit. So, okay, this is the issues in the modeling. If I use a Revit as an example here, so we can see that there is overlapping of the elements, yeah? So you can see when the modeler draw, there's a overlapping of the elements here. So what happened to your quantity? Because of, if you generate the quantity directly from the design software, so definitely your quantity will go wrong because of there is a overlapping here, right? Okay, the next one in terms of the wrong categorizations of family. Supposed to be staircase have their own elements, but modular sometimes they put under floor. This is also happen in the real life. In terms of the wrong categorizations of family, sometimes this belong to another family, this one belong to another family. It's the wrong categorizations by the modeler. Then this one also I mentioned just now about the geometrical cutoff. Yeah, you have a lot of intersection. Then what happens is that it will generate your very complicated shape, a very odd shape. We call it as an odd shape. Okay, related to the odd shape just now, right? According to the Montero and Martins here, most of the software is able to do quantification. Even Revit, if you are talking about Revit, if you are talking about ArchiCAD, definitely all the design software, they have the ability to generate quantity. But the next question is whether is that a right quantity that QS needed? Yeah. So basically, at least they can perform calculation based on area and also based on the volume. Yeah. But when you look at this model, right, when we're talking about the formwork, maybe we can say area can equivalent to the quantity of the formwork. So is that true? Is that the QS1? Okay. So if you can see, right, from this model, we have a beam. Right, then after that we have a slab here. So if you look at the formwork here, supposed to be this area, we don't have the formwork. But what happened is that in the design software, it will also consider this one. It will give you the quantity as well as a surface quantity. So what happened is that supposed to be you don't want this quantity, you want it to be deducted. But what happened is that the design software will give the quantity as well. Right, this is always happen if you get the quantity from the design software. So what happens is that the quantity will be wrong. So we are talking about the one element, So what about we have elements at a slab, we have elements at the column and so on. And if you have a multiple story, so definitely your quantity will be wrong. So this is another issues associated with the AEC industry. We're talking about the classifications of the elements, the measurement is defined in a different way, also being raised by Montero and also Martins. So it mentions that this is because of a different professions will have a different interpretation. Yeah, architect, they have their own language, they interpret things differently. QS have our QS language, which is we interpret things also differently. And sometimes QS with another QS also have a different interpretation. We are talking about the different interpretation, between one human being to another human being. Okay, this is another one issue in terms of the classification of the elements is not consistent. The next one in terms of the model quality. Yeah, no doubt, in order for us to get the correct estimations, the model need to be quality enough, need to be fit enough in order for us, quantity surveyor, to get the quantity. And this one also being raised by Nas and Koch in his article in 2021. Okay, the next one in terms of the interoperability. Also, we have issues here because of the informations are not able to conveyed from one phase to another phase. Yeah, and finally, it's very, very important because of we don't have available tools. We don't have a perfect tools. And related back to this one, okay, to this point, I would like to zoom in what is being quoted or what is being said by the Charles Eastman. Okay, we know Charles Eastman is who, right? Charles Eastman is the pioneer of the BIM, and he also mentioned inside his book that there are no BIM tools that can provided a spreadsheet estimating package. User must suit their specific way for estimation purposes. It means that we don't have a one software that fit for all size. We don't have that, right? So this is being quoted by the Charles Eastman itself, right? It means that BIM tools here referring to the design software. So there is no a perfect design software that can give you a quantification which is needed by a quantity surveyor. Then how are we going to do that? How are we going to solve that? Okay, because of he mentions that user must suit their specific way for estimation purposes. How are we going to suit it? How are we going to do it, right? So this is where one of the possible way on how to do that is by converting from the BIM design model to the BIM cost model, which is very, very important and inevitable. So basically, this is the main highlight for this webinar session. Okay, so the conversion from BIM design model to the BIM cost model is very, very important. In order for us to understand better the evolutions of the model, we need to go back to the root of the question. What is a BIM cost model? Okay, so what is the BIM cost model? The first one is the 3D model with a quantity information. That one can be described as the BIM cost model. The next one, in terms of the any informations related to costs such as materials, concrete grade, specification, and etc. Yeah. So these informations that going to affect our cost should be available in the BIM cost model. Okay. Then we are talking about it must comprises of the geometrical and non-geometrical data. Okay, geometrical data, we are talking about the dimension, the height, what is the volume, what is the thickness, and so on. But we're talking about the non-geometrical data, we are talking about the informations that are not in a dimension and so on, but it will affect your cost. So we are talking about like, concrete grade, we are talking about the specification and so on. And the next one is in terms of the ability to calculate and extract the quantity information. This is very, very important. That BIM cost model or the software must have the ability to calculate, okay, and extract the quantity informations. And the next one is editable model. Okay, the model must be editable. Why is editable? Because we are talking about quality just now. Remember about the quality just now? You need to have a good quality BIM model in order to have accuracy. So the BIM cost model must be editable so that we can edit to get what is the information that we want, right? And the next one is it must be automatically calculated according to the built-in calculations rule. This is the most important thing, right? Why design software cannot give you the quantity that QS need? Because we have a different calculations rule. Basically, we have a different standard of measurements. We have a different rules, basically, right? Okay, now we already take note on the what is BIM cost model is all about. Now let us see and try to understand from the aspect of the applications and the interoperability. Okay, we need to understand, we need to know the background and the logic of the applications for BIM cost model. Then after that, we need to understand how the BIM cost model will deal with the interoperability from upstream to downstream and from one phase to another phase within the project life cycle. Okay, now let's look at the first aspect. Okay, first aspect, which is we need to understand the background and also logic of application tools for the BIM cost software. So in terms of the concept, okay, when you're talking about the concept, it has the similar concept with the design model software. In terms of the dimensions, both have 3D. In terms of the elements, sub-elements, it also has the similarities. The next one, in terms of the implementation, because of it has a similar concept. So when we want to implement it, it has a similar concept. It will be made possible, which is the implementations will be much smooth, much more easier and also conducive. And the next one, in terms of the modeling standard. Yeah, modeling standard. We are talking about the modeling here, about the standard here. So the development of the modeling standard also will be viable, okay? Viable and possible because of, it will share the same elements, it will share the same attributes, floor elevation will be the same with all the 3D models. And finally, the most important thing is that built-in calculations rule. Okay, the ability to generate calculations according to specific built-in calculations rule. So the quantity must be fulfill the criteria that's set by the built-in calculations rule, and this must be automatic. And must be automatic. If it's not automatic, then it's no use. All right, it must be done automatic. So when we're talking about the quantity takeoff software in the market nowadays, I can say that all of the software they can preview 3D, but it has a limitations, which is it only can view the 3D model, but it cannot edit and it cannot perform the automations quantity. Yeah, it means that it's semi-auto. It means that you can see the 3D model is there, the 3D model is there, but the quantity is not auto-generated. So what happens is that you still need to measure it back from the 3D model. So we call it a semi-automated because you already have the 3D model, but that particular 3D model cannot give you quantity. You need to perform another step to measure the 3D model. So we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay, we don't want that. For us, that kind of system is not intelligent enough. But we want a system that can auto-calculate according to the built-in rules. Okay. So this is example of the built-in local measurement rule for those who familiar with our QBCOS TES. Okay, so you can see that with the technology, despite even though that we already being set to the following specific measurement rules, but you still have the flexibility to modify this according to their preferences. Like I mentioned just now, any software or solution must be flexible enough to cater the uniqueness of the measurements rule or the standard, which is different from one region to another region, right? So when we're talking about the measurements rule, basically we have a lot, yeah. Like Malaysia, we have standard methods of measurement, second edition. Normally we call it SMM2, and latest we also have our Royal Institute of Surveyors Malaysia (RISM) has come up with the latest standard, which known as the MYSMM. So any other countries that don't have specific measurements, normally they will use POMI, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's POMI. I cannot recall it correctly. Especially like Middle East country, they are using POMI. It stands for Principle of Measurements International, right? So in other words, a beam cost model should have the flexibility to be automated, fulfill all these requirements which not able to be done by using BIM design software. It cannot be done by using design software. So that is why we need to convert it to BIM cost model to fulfill this requirement. Okay, I hope that you guys still with me. Okay, let's look at the next slide. Okay, we will going to look at another aspect to be looked into. Okay, especially the interoperability between BIM cost model. Okay, so we take a QBCOS TES, for example, right? So with the ability to import a several format, okay, it makes the process of converting design model to the cost model possible because of the software. They can really import .ifc format, okay, which is we are referring to the IFC. We are talking about the industrial foundation class, yeah. The model itself, the format of the model, and also we also can import .rvt, which is the Revit software. Okay, so basically the ideal way to import directly the design model. Okay, however, at a certain conditions due to unavailability of the 3D model, somehow we still need to refer to the 2D drawings. So the software should be able to import 2D drawing as well. There's mainly a two-purpose. There's a two-purpose of why we import a 2D drawing inside into our BIM cost model. First one is to check, to cross-check with the 3D model. Okay, you have a 3D model, then you impose it with the 2D drawings. This is where you can double check whether is there any discrepancy between 3D and 2D. And another purpose is to have a backup in case the 3D model is not available. Yeah, then if the 3D model is not available, then we need to import a 2D drawings, whether AutoCAD or Vector PDF inside, then we can develop our own 3D cost model from the 2D drawings by using the elements that are available in the software. Yeah, and some of the information also being raised by RICS, which is some quantities not readily available and will have to be measured by another approach. So all the solutions must be flexible enough because of this issue, right? So this diagram basically will explain in general how the interoperability works. Okay, so we were talking about the data compatibility. Yeah, it means we are referring to the positioning standard. All right. So this when we're talking about the positioning standard, whether we need to check whether it can be used together between design model and also cost model. So basically, positioning standard consists of the three aspects. Yeah, the first one in terms of the model orientation. The second one is the model elevations and also the plan positioning. Okay, so we're talking about the model orientations, right? It means the locations of the building should follow exactly like a design model. Now, this is very important, especially when the project comprises several buildings. So the correct location will be affected the accuracy of our quantity takeoff. That's the first one. Okay, the second one in terms of the model elevation. Yeah, so in terms of the elevations, each floor should have a building elements that belongs to that specific floor. Okay, for example, we take like the first floor. Okay, floor number 1 consists of column. We have what? We have beam, slab, etc. Right? So the quantity report need to be generated floor by floor. Okay, so this kind of requirements, right? Many quantity takeoff software out there in the market are not able to do that. Okay, it can show you the 3D model, but quantity-wise, it cannot generate according to the floor. It still requires the user to do a 3D measurements from the model for each floor. And the final one is the plan positioning. Okay, plan positioning is we refer to the axis. Okay, even though it's not very significant to the takeoff wise, but it's better for a better communication, especially between designer and also the QS. So it might be a bit of technical. Yeah, I hope that you guys still with me. Okay, now, so to make sure the benefit of the beam-based quantity takeoff, right, can be achieved at the maximum level, the conversion from the beam design model to cost model alone is not sufficient. Okay, just depends on conversion to the cost model is not sufficient. It must be integrated with the holistic approach. It must be improved at all angles. Okay, so in terms of the development, right? So these are the development area that we need to think of. Now, in terms of the standard development, I think we have organizations, Building Smart, BSI, is the one who regulates all this kind of standard, which is good. Right, so the development should be still continue, need to be improvised from time to time, and we are talking about the people development. So people development is very, very important because of the technology won't work without human involvement, right? Like talent, like mindset, all these kind of skills must be ensured to be improved from time to time. And finally, we are talking about the service platform, which is the platform including the infrastructure, hardware. We're talking about hardware, software. So all these things must be adequate and also sufficient. Okay, for the company that's still yet to implement 5D BIM in their company, this general procedure can be a good framework, a good framework for your references. So this model is being adopted by Nast and Koch in his article in 2021. Basically, they have a several phase, right? Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and phase 5. So it will be a solid basis for the organizations to adopt 5D BIM. Okay. Then if we are talking about 5D BIM implementation cannot be worked without a digital transformation. So in other words, digital transformations is required in order to easily transfer the informations in a digital manner, right? So if you look, if you refer at this model, right, the stages of digital transformation, okay, you can see that the digital transformations also need to be conducted or implement phase by phase, okay? We go for the initial stage. This is where you need to digitalizations of the job level. It means at the job level, then once at the job level already matured, we go to the intermediate stage, okay, about the business layer, okay? Then we go to the advanced stage in terms of the enterprise layer. Then finally, the ultimate stage that we want to go is that we want to digitize the ecological layer, right? And once the company already go through the digital transformations, then this makes the 5D BIM implementations can be work. All right. Okay. Now, all right. I need to conduct another survey that I want to ask you guys. All right. I need to know feedback from you guys. Have you experienced using Glodden Cubicos? Okay, you just need to take click whether it's yes or no. Okay, I think we already have results here. Okay, let me share the results. Okay, so we can see that, oh, okay, when we're talking about the Glodden Cubicos, right? Yes is 47% and no is 53%. So I can say it's quite balanced, yeah, between yes and no, yes and no. Okay, so for those who already already have experience using Cubicos usage, which is good, and for those who don't know, never use our Cubicos before, let me explain a bit. Okay, what is Glodden? Okay. So I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you guys the what is Glodden and who is Glodden, right? So basically, Glodden is a solutions provider company, which is our target is to improve the AEC industry. Okay, so in terms of the in terms of the world, okay, you can see that we are proudly to say that we are the world top 5 in AEC digital company. So we are China-based company and we are listed in the public listed, okay, and also we covers 100% of countries. It means that Glodden is everywhere, yeah. And until now, at the moment, we have around 6 R&D centers throughout the country. And we have, for now, we have a 60 plus branches globally. And at the moment, we have around 7,000 plus employees. And at the moment, we have 650 technology copyrights, okay, which is our market value is estimated at 12 billion US dollars. Okay. Okay, basically this is the, just now is the company, Glodden. Okay, so what is our solutions? What is our software that already inside the market? Basically, we have these 4. Okay, the green one, we call it as the TAS, which is stands for taking off architectural structural. It's a 5D BIM software to help to do a taking off for the architectural and structural. And the blue one is we call it as the TRB, which is focusing on the rebar for the quantity takeoff in terms of rebar. Then after that, we have TME, is focusing on the mechanical and electrical. And we also have, we call it as a TBQ. Okay, is a one professional software that develops a professional software to do all the BQ, to develop costs, and we have a cost library and so on. All right. Okay, as I mentioned just now, okay, this is the overall diagram, shows how our solutions can convert from the design model to the cost model. So basically, we can import a 3D model, whether it's from IFC or from Revit, all right? And also we can import 2D drawings, whether from the CAD drawings or from the scan copy also we can import into our TAS. And finally, when we convert it into a beam cost model, and at the end of the process, we also can be converted back to IFC, and we can pass our informations to upstream or to downstream, right? Okay, and this is also from the cost model, we also can generate a lot of quantity report, which is a very professional and also can be customized according to the user preferences. You know, there's a lot of formats of the report that we can generate, whether you want it to be, a rebar schedule, you want to have a look at the quantity of the concrete and so on. We are able to do that. Okay, the next one, I would like to show, we have a video here. Okay, basically this video will show you how we can simply import a 3D model, right? Then we converted it into a beam cost model. Let's look at this video. Okay, definitely, basically you just need to import inside whether Revit file or IFC file, right? Then once you import it inside our TAS, okay, all the informations here will be follow exactly like informations in the Revit. So you can see that we also have, that I mentioned in the previous slides about the elements classification. You know, different people will interpret differently. So this part can solve that problem, which is all the elements of family or category inside the Revit. We can change it, how we are going to treat it into our TAS. Okay, we call it as the element mapping, right? Then once we already import it inside, okay, so from the Revit model, you can see that this model has been transformed or evolved into a beam cost model. Then what we can do with this cost model, definitely we can calculate it, all right? Then the best part, we can also support the functions of the auto checking and also auto repairing. Okay, remember about the overlapping problem from the 3D models, right? Which is make your quantity is wrong, right? Then we can see when we import, we notice from our software here, we can detect there is an overlap. Okay, there is an overlap part that makes your quantity is not correct. Then we can auto process it. Okay, when we click auto process, automatically it will fix it. It will deduct all the overlapping area to make sure your quantity is more reliable. And finally, all the informations that you already key in inside the Revit, right, it will import as well. Okay, so the informations that you already key in inside Revit, it will brings the informations, the not just geometrical informations, it will brings as well the non-geometrical informations into the software. And finally, we can generate our quantity report according to the classifications from the attributes from the Revit that we already set in the Revit just now. Okay, so you can see it's very flexible, right? How to convert it from the design model to the beam cost model. And the most important part is that all these quantities will follow exactly the built-in calculations rule. So the quantity will be follow accordingly, depends on which standard that you are using. Okay, basically that's how it works by using our solutions. Okay, the next one. In terms of the modeling issues that we face, okay, remember about the overlapping. So, right, if you compare our product with other products that are available in the market, right, we are the only products then we can support auto checking, and we also can support auto repairing Revit model. So we can at least minimize, or we can avoid all the overlapping issues that make your quantity goes wrong, because we have this kind of functions how to fix this. Okay, the next one. Okay, remember when we import a 3D model, not all the informations will be available in the 3D informations. Sometimes there's informations that we still need a 2D informations because of that particular information is not being modeled inside the 3D model. This is where we need importations of the 2D drawings. So when we use our software to import the 2D drawings inside, right? You also can develop a 3D model by using all the elements that are available in our software. So Inside our software, we call it, we have a function, we call it as an intelligence identification, which is directly, it will detect your CAD lines and will automatically generate the 3D cost model from the CAD line itself. So you don't need to design it manually. You don't need to model it one by one. It directly detected based on your 2D drawings. So this is where the importance of the 2D drawing just now. You already have a 3D model inside, then your 3D model inside is not sufficient, you know, because of there is an unavailable of data and so on. Then you need to import your 2D drawings, and this 2D drawing also can be generated by by intelligence identification. So it makes the process or conversion from the design model to the cost model even much faster. Yep. Okay. So other than that, right, our solutions also covers the whole project life cycle, whether during pre-contract, which is pre-design, costing, up to the tendering. And also we covers on the post-contract stage, including progress claim, subcontracts until the final account. So this webinar, this time for this webinar purposes, we only covers the conversion part from the design model to the cost model, which is we are not really go into details for each of the stage, but definitely we covers the whole life cycle. So it means it gives our clients to experience the whole 5D environment up to the final account, right? So maybe a future webinar, okay, maybe after this we have a future webinar also, then maybe we can cover each of the phase, whether pre-contract and also post-contract, okay? So, okay, from the previous, okay, I think I already 4:45. Okay, from the previous slide, okay, basically this is the model that impose the rebar plan of work with the Cubicos software, which is we can see how our Cubicos software can help, can aid the whole process inside the rebar plan of work, you know. So basically, since that I don't have a time to explain in details, basically this model is available in all our social media. Yeah, in our LinkedIn, in our website. Basically, if you're interested to know this model in details, you just can go to our website or LinkedIn, you can get this model. Okay, so I think I will not go in for details to explain this slide because I think I already run out of time, right? Okay. So with this slide, I think my presentation already reached to the ending. Okay, so what is the conclusions that we can make, right? The first one, as I always emphasize again and again, QS profession must embrace a new way of doing things. We need to be open-minded. We need to have a positive mindset to accept changes and new trend. The second one, whether we do it manually or using technology, there is always challenges that we need to overcome or at least minimize it. And finally, the importance of the transformations from the BIM design model to the cost model. So final said, with the 5D BIM technology, let's bring our organizations, our team, and ourselves to another level of the game. Stay ahead in the competitions and achieve whatever our aim and whatever we want. So with that, I would like to say thank you very much for your time in attending this webinar. Hopefully we can meet again in the future. So I pass back to you, Kelvin. Now the floor is yours.
Yeah, really thanks for your presentation. And I think our audience today do really appreciate it with your presence and your fruitful sharing. Next, we will go ahead with and take some time for the Q&A section now. So a general reminder here, kindly type in your questions Q&A at the control panel. Furthermore, participants who have participated this full live webinar will receive the e-certificate from us after the session. So do check out your registered email inbox. For those who still have more questions for us or you do like to have an in-depth discussion with us, please do feel free to contact our team. You may note that down in our regional office direct to email address or visit our website to contact us. So let's have a look with the questions. Amirul, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so there's a questions from the first participants, and he or she is asking whether is QS role is negatively be affected by BIM-based quantity takeoff. Any possibility that QS will no longer be relevant in the future?
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for the question. So the one who asked this is anonymous. We don't know whether he or she. Okay, so is QS role will negatively be affected by beam-based quantity takeoff? Any possibility that QS will no longer be relevant in the future? Okay, actually, right, to be honest, just I mentioned just now, I conducted lots of webinars, especially to university and so on, and we did deliver talk and so on, right? There's a lot of this kind of questions, because normally this question is very famous among students because of they want to make sure that once they graduated, they have job security. So whether is QS role will negatively be affected by beam-based quantity takeoff is not at the moment. I can say that it will not negatively be affected. Okay. The question, the justification is like this. No, we will always have wonder whether one day technology will replace humans or not, right? And I can say that when we are talking about technology, sometimes they are calling is robot will replace human in one day. You don't need to worry about that because of first, technology won't work without the human's interventions. It means that we still need humans in order to make the technology works, right? And some of the question they will ask whether robot, or sometimes they call it is artificial intelligence, AI, whether it can replace humans or not, right? If let's say we compare side by side between artificial intelligence and we have a human's brain, side by side, right? Actually, there's a lot of things that artificial intelligence cannot do like what our humans can do. Humans brain can do. Maybe artificial intelligence can do like image recognition, voice recognition. They can detect that, they can do calculations, math calculation, and so on. But what about imagination? Imaginations basically AI cannot do, but humans can do. Okay, humans can do fantasy and so on. In terms of the empathy, empathy, AI cannot do this kind of empathy, but humans can do. A human's brain can have the empathy. So there's a lot of things that artificial intelligence cannot replace human because of according to these factors. Basically, I can say at the moment, don't worry. Okay, it will not negatively affected by technology. AI or robot will not replace human in the future, at least at the moment. Okay, so just my answer just now. Don't worry, QS role will be there, will still relevant, and I think that's all my questions.
Yeah, thank you, Amiru, and we hope this answer will satisfy the audience who raised these questions. So
Okay.
I do have another question for you, Amiru. So actually, this question is from Muhammad Saifullah, and then
Okay.
his question is: does it cover only on civil works only? How about MEP works? I think he want to ask about our cubicle solutions.
Okay. Basically, right, at the moment, our software for 5D BIM is focusing on the building works. Yeah. And MEP is part of the building works, which is all the MEP things will be designed. It will be, I can say the design will be together with the buildings, right? So in our solutions, for civil works, outside of the buildings is not covered under our solution. It means our solutions only applicable for the building works only. And about the MEP works, yes, we also have solutions, okay, dedicated solution software that can tackle all the quantification in terms of MEP works. I hope I answer to Muhammad Saifullah.
Yeah, thanks. Due to the time limitations, and then we would like to see one more question from our audience. So another question is from anonymous attendees as well, and then his or her questions is: Hi, Amiru, understand how BIM could be beneficial to the construction industry. Will the job scope of QS will becomes limited due to BIM implementations? Maybe you can provide some insights for him or her.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for the questions. Okay, how BIM could beneficial to the construction industry. Will the work scope of QS becomes limited due to BIM implementation? Okay, this is very good questions, right? About the work scope. Okay, my answer is that you don't need to worry because of the work scope is always remain and unchanged. Basically, when we are talking about the BIM-based quantity takeoff, right, it's just the technology that can facilitate you to make sure the process of getting the quantity is automations, and it means that, let's say, for example, before this traditional way, you need to spend about 6 months in doing taking off. So when you do a BIM-based quantification, because of automations, maybe you can reduce it 2 months. No, so you can see the productivity is increased. Before this, you need 6 months, but you need only 2 months. So what happened is that you can spend the time that you already saved just now to do some things that have a value added, like a value engineering. You can spend your time in terms of the advice clients, what is the alternative design and so on. Okay, because of your productivity only increase, you just need a few months to do your quantification. So the time saving, whether you can do something else. So when you're talking about the QS scope, right, we are talking about not just taking off, we are talking about the contracts, contract advice, we are talking about the progress claim, interim payment, final account, and so on. So it's not just the taking off, right? So don't worry, the QS scope still will remain the same. It's just the process by using a BIM-based quantity takeoff is much faster and more efficient. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the insights provided, and we do hope the insights shared by Amirul is answered the questions. So come to an end, we are profoundly grateful for the overwhelming response by asking our tons of questions. Due to the time constraints, we will be able to answer all the questions in this session, and we do apologize for that. Now, coming to an end, I do hope all of you today enjoyed the session and found it profound, found it fruitful and meaningful. Lastly, very helpful for us for future improvement if you can take up to 2 minutes to complete the event survey by clicking the survey link in the chat box or before you're leaving this webinar. We thank you for taking the time to join us and share your feedback with us today. Once again, we're glad to have your presence today, and we will see you in future Gloden event. Stay safe. Bye.